And we'll go from Forest, we talked about before, to Spurs, who, yes, the positive is they won for the first time in 2026. It had been a long wait, 118 days. One goal was enough to do it. There wasn't, as you can see, too much in these match stats against the bottom side Wolves, although Spurs had almost 60% of possession. That was only the real major difference, and passes in the final third as well. Expected goals, 0.7 for Wolves, 0.92 for Spurs. Let's have a closer look at that, because Spurs had 9 shots in the first 81 minutes, recording an XG of just 0.28. So that would tell us that the shot quality there was really pretty low. And then the goal on the 82nd minute. First, the shot from Richarlison. We had a bit of a lash at it, but that was a 0.07 moment. And the Palhinha goal, as he just managed to get his foot to it on the line, 0.58, which sees that XG jump up. So here we are, Wolves in gold and Spurs in the white. And as you can see, through the first 75 minutes of the match, there's not really much between them, because this is the XG timeline, which leaps with every outstanding chance as those shots start to accumulate as the match goes on. And then you get to this point, and then suddenly that's where the goal comes from on the 82nd minute. But before then, really not much to write home about, Jamie. Would that be a concern?
Yeah, and the reason we're showing this, and what we've done earlier in the show, you think of the goals the other teams have scored, Nottingham Forest, you think of West Ham, and that's the worry when we think of the injuries that Spurs had in this game. Where are they going to get the goals from? Because they didn't create an awful lot against the poorest team in the league. So Colin Muani, who's come in, he's really struggled since he came in. That was the best effort in the first half, really poor attempt, really. He gets substituted at half-time for Tell. But one man who has done something for De Zerbi in the 3 games. Small sample size, yes, but he's the one who's looked inventive. Has a really good chance there, but as we know, unfortunately, gets the bad injury. Bentancur, it's from a set piece. So as we can see in the game, there's not too much happening for them, certainly in general play. But when I talk about the change they made at half-time, Tell comes on now. He's a player who I think a lot of Spurs fans have been calling for to be in the team a lot more regularly under De Zerbi. But he does brilliant here, actually, to keep this alive, and they get the set piece from that. So, as I said, with the injuries, Tell is now going to play a really prominent part going forward, something that, as I said, the supporters have really wanted. But the corner comes in, and Palhinha, now we've highlighted Palhinha a lot on this show this season, but certainly haven't been critical from his goal-scoring ability, because he's got some vital goals for Spurs. He finds himself in there, and yeah, who knows how vital that goal will be. But don't forget, this is a guy who got a last-minute goal at home against Wolves. He's actually won Tottenham 3 points just in games against Wolves alone from holding midfield players. So, as I said, under Thomas Frank, we're a little bit critical about Spurs midfield players getting on the ball. But he's got some vital goals this season, and who knows how important these goals will be.
Kieran, I want to draw on that Leicester experience again. Can one win just change the picture completely for Spurs?
Yeah, for sure, especially after they haven't won a game in quite a while. And at this point of the season, I agree with Jamie. You want to play well and you want to be attacking and fluid, but I'm sure the lads will be happy they've just got the 3 points, especially after the teams around them also got a win. So if they came off the pitch the other day having not won the game, it would have made the mountain even higher to climb. So yeah, it was a big pressure game against a team that are already relegated, but getting the 3 points keeps them in contact.
How hard is it when you are down there struggling, and we're going to show you the fixtures again in just a moment, to play with any kind of freedom, play free of anxiety?
Yeah, it's very hard because, look, everybody knows there's a lot of pressure when you're down there. You're playing for a lot of things, for yourself, for the club, for the fans. And you know that it's amplified, because if you make a mistake, it might contribute to something worse than it might have at the start of the season. So it's a lot of pressure. It's a different sort of pressure to a team trying to go for Europe or something. So yeah, it's just about trying to put in as good a performance as possible, not make as many mistakes as possible, and sticking together.
We like to talk about the Opta predictor at this stage of the season. Let me just dash past you again, Kieran. Leeds 1% chance of going down. Forest 2%. West Ham 38%. Spurs they've got at 59%. When you look at those fixtures, Jamie, can you see Spurs getting the required amount of points when, as I say, all these teams are starting to find a little bit of form to get out of this?
I think it's going to be really tough. And the reason being is Spurs rightly and the whole support will just think we've won a game of football. They haven't won a game of football this year. You can't quite comprehend that, but they've won a game. So they've got the 3 points. But their other rivals, West Ham and Nottingham Forest, both won. So when you actually look at it, and you think of the injuries they got at the weekend. So even though they've won a game, they're actually in a worse position than they were last weekend because they've got the easiest game they had on paper, Wolves away, out the way. So that's gone. Now, West Ham have got difficult fixtures, no doubt about that. But when I look at the players that Nottingham Forest have got and West Ham, both playing with a front four, I think of Morgan Gibbs-White, I think of Jared Bowen. Spurs haven't got a player in the attack who can even come close to either of those players, and that's what worries me for Spurs. Now, yes, they have tough fixtures, as do West Ham. But when I look at the Wolves game, and we watch the Wolves game back, and you think of the injuries they've got now in the attack, who is going to score a goal for them? Who's going to create something? And I look at Villa away and I look at Chelsea away. Tough games no matter how you're playing, how good a team you've got at Spurs. I can't see them scoring a goal. What if they do score a goal, maybe one? So to win the game, they've got to keep a clean sheet. And I just find it difficult to make a case for them in those two games. So then that puts huge pressure on the Leeds.
What about the Everton game? We didn't say that one, Keir.
Well, I'm hoping that we're going to be fighting for something as well. So it's going to be...
That's the problem, isn't it? When you get to this stage, everyone's got something else on.
But I think an important point you've got to make is Spurs being really unfortunate with injuries. If they didn't have the injury record, I don't think they'd be in this position. But 3 players in the same position all got sort of ACLs, Kulusevski, Seamans and James Maddison. And James Maddison, I feel, may have to play a role here in terms of keeping Tottenham up, because he's the only one I can think of who's doing something special, has got that quality that I've mentioned with Bowen and Morgan Gibbs-White. Now, he's coming back from a big injury. We might be talking 15, 20 minutes from the bench, but he's the only one when I look at that squad who I think he could produce that little bit of magic when they need it, especially probably in those away games.
Do you think that is possible? He's a guy that you know very well, Kieran. Even if he's not, I don't know how fit he is at the moment, but 70, 80%, could he, in 10 minutes with a set piece or something, just change the direction?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know Madders very well, played with him for a couple of years. He probably is the most creative player in the Spurs team. He probably wouldn't have wanted to be in this position where he's going to be, he might need to be counted on to help them. But like you said, he is the sort of player that could maybe come on in the last 15, 20 minutes and create a chance and score a goal, and they haven't really got that at the moment.
You made a point before about pressure near the bottom. Now, listen, he was involved near the bottom at Leicester and they did go down. But actually, when I think of those Spurs players and maybe that little bit of fear, it may have alluded a little bit on the back of getting 3 points, but you think of someone who would continue to take the ball. Actually, in the home games, you'd be thinking maybe more of Maddison. If they need and it goes to the last game, he could be someone who'd still want the ball, no matter what the situation. I just feel for Spurs to stay up, he will have to have a role to play.
So he's creeping back towards it, isn't he? He's been on the bench last couple of games, and maybe with another week's training, that game against Villa is next Sunday night. So a bit of time for Maddison again to get some running to his legs, and who knows, maybe feature in this exciting running.
We're going to start with Spurs, though, and Xavi Simons says he is heartbroken after scans confirmed that he has ruptured the anterior cruciate ligament in his right knee, ruling him out of the rest of the season and the World Cup as well. Well, Simons suffered the knee injury during Tottenham's 1-0 win at Wolves on Saturday and will have surgery in the next few weeks. Well, partial tears or ruptures to the ACL typically lead to players being unavailable for between 6 and 9 months. I mean, tough for Xavi Simons for, yes, the rest of the season, but the World Cup as well and for the summer.
Yeah, most important for the season for Tottenham, and then the World Cup's a bonus, yeah. But, yeah, he was becoming their go-to man. He was the one where you thought, you know, you always need, you know, like Eze, you want that bit, someone who's got that X factor.
He can create something.
Yeah, he looks like he was going to be that player, and it's a shame. That was a great ball. That was, yeah, and it's a shame. No one likes to see anybody get injured. Soon as I was watching the game, and as soon as he done it, I knew he was hurt. You can always tell when a player's hurt. They don't move. They don't move. They don't roll around. They just stay still, and you could tell he was injured. And yeah, massive shame. You know, I do like him. I do like him as it goes. He seems like one of them lads who works hard, you know, and he's a big miss for Tottenham. I think Solanke went off as well.
Yeah, we don't know the extent of that injury at the moment.
Well, his will be, but if them two are struggling and one's definitely out, and if Solanke's out, they're going to be right up against it.
I mean, you talk about him being able to create something out of nothing sometimes, but it's also, you could see what everything meant to him, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Especially the last few weeks.
Yeah, and you hear stories where, you know, he works hard, you know what I mean? He stays behind and he does extra, and, you know, you hear them stories in the background. So, yeah, it's a shame. He'll bounce back, but, yeah, no one... World Cups come along. I know they're every 4 years, but sometimes they come along once and you never again. So, for me, that'll be a shame for him as well.
Well, Spurs have been littered with injuries all season, and former manager Tim Sherwood believes that the number of injuries isn't just unfortunate and needs to be addressed in the summer.
Injuries have derailed Tottenham's season all season, and it can't be bad luck. They need to look. They need to review, and they need a good look at what's happening to their players, because, listen, we can all get injured from a contact, but a lot of these injuries are not contact. They're twists, they're soft tissue injuries, and ultimately it looks like they might have to pay the price for it, and the ultimate price, which is relegation, because if you're a manager, you're going in, your players, and some of your best players keep getting injured, and you can't get them back to fitness as well. I mean, like Kulusevski, Maddison, it's been a hell of a long time since they've been injured, and not getting them back on the field. So they're going to need a good look at that in the summer.
I mean, it is a number of injuries that they've had to contest with, a number of knee injuries as well. I just want to show you a graphic that I think we've got, because Xavi Simons is the fourth Spurs player since the start of last year to suffer an ACL injury. That's after Radu Dragusin, James Maddison, of course, and Wilson Odobert as well. Only Dragusin has actually returned at this stage. Dejan Kulusevski has also been out for, well, almost a year, isn't it, with a knee injury. Right now, Roberto De Zerbi without 10 first-team players because of injury. I mean, when you look at the knees and the ACL problems, with what Tim was saying there, is it just down to bad luck?
Well, first of all, you know, sometimes people put up injuries and you go, oh, he wouldn't play. Virtually all 10 of them play. I mean, that's big, and they're big players for Tottenham, so that is disappointing for Tottenham. We all go on about the pitches nowadays and how great they are, but they're firm. You know, like this painted green, do you know what I mean? And it's just pounding all the time. There's not a lot of give in the pitch. You know, the boots they wear now and things like that. It seems like they're getting stuck. Some of them they don't wear studs anymore, a lot of them, you know what I mean? And there's no give, you know, when before, you know, there used to be a little bit of mud and, you know, everybody wears studs. And I just think there, you see him, his foot goes in and then it doesn't move, his foot. It doesn't go through the grass. It just stops. And, yeah, it's bang unlucky. And as Tim said, I mean, these are big players. I knew he was injured. You could tell then, you know, he wasn't like wasting time. Yeah, poor lad. But, yeah, if you watch it again, his foot literally look now. Bang, gets stuck. It doesn't. The pitches are they look lovely and they are nice to play on, but when you're playing on them week in, week out, there's a lot of pounding, not a lot of give.
Yeah, not easy to watch that. We obviously know he's going to be out for the rest of the season. Dominic Solanke, you mentioned it a minute ago, also went off injured. We don't know how bad that is just yet, but look, if they are without those two, how costly could that be? Do they have enough to survive?
I'm not sure. I'm not. I really think it's a heads or tails. I think West Ham missed a trick at Crystal Palace the other Monday night, then had an unbelievable result against Everton. Unbelievable result. Because out of the two, I expected Tottenham to win and probably West Ham to be maybe a draw or Everton to win. So that was a big bonus. Yeah, someone's got to turn up. You know, if I was relying on two players for Tottenham to get me out of trouble, it would be Solanke and Xavi. So for me, them two out, they're going to be up against it.
Yeah. Let's bring Dave in then, who's been taking a closer look.
He's been at Lord's.
No, he's still here for the next hour anyway. A closer look at the battle to survive.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about Spurs there, but let's kind of have a look at the overall picture where we are in the Premier League relegation running. Another weekend of twists and turns. This is where we stand after match day 34. Wolves and Burnley now down, but this final place for relegation is going to go to the wire, it seems. Wins for Nottingham Forest, West Ham and Spurs has changed the picture in the race for survival. So this is our relegation running tracker. We've got months of the season along the horizontal here with the points total in the vertical, and each line that you're seeing here represents one of Spurs, West Ham, Nottingham Forest and Leeds as well, represented by their club colours. Now, prior to the weekend just gone, our predicted safety line here was actually 38 points. But after the weekend, that has now altered significantly. We are looking at a predicted safety mark now of 40 points. Leeds, they have reached that threshold. They might not sit too comfortably, though, even though they are on that 40-point mark. Forest are also on 39 now, but that's still not expected to see them safe. Well, despite the victory at Wolves, the safety line still feels quite a long way off, doesn't it, for Spurs right now? If that magic number is 40, that's the highest points required for survival in 15 years. Wolves needed 40 points to stay up in 2010-11. That's how rare this season looks to be if we do get towards that 40-point mark to stay up. So where are the results coming from for these sides? You'd probably think that Leeds will pick up a point or two from their remaining 4 games, colour-coded here due to positions in the table. So green is a side that they're going to be facing between 15th and the bottom of the table. So you'd think Leeds would pick up a couple of points at least here. Despite being on 39, Forest have a tough-looking schedule, as do West Ham, who need a win and a draw to reach that 40-point mark, and Spurs need to win 2 games at least out of 4 to reach 40, 2 out of any of Villa, Leeds, Chelsea and Everton. I mean, it feels like a long way off for Spurs right now, this 40-point mark. But I guess if you look at West Ham, how vital, Paul in particular, how vital could that Callum Wilson goal be right at the death there? And I mean, what a player to have, a striker of the calibre of Callum Wilson, who just knows how to find the net. I wonder whether some of the other sides, Spurs, with Solanke's injury, have they got that calibre of striker?
Well, no, they haven't. Absolutely not. And he doesn't even play. He's sub. He's coming on. And that's a big thing. If you're the manager, you know, you always want someone, you know, you always want to, if it's struggling on the pitch, you always want to be able to turn around and go, I've got a game changer. I've got someone to nick me a goal. And that's massive to West Ham. It's advantage West Ham. I mean, yeah, Tottenham would have come in the other day and seen West Ham would have won. And the games are eating up now. You look at the games. I don't see West Ham winning at Brentford. I don't beat Arsenal. Newcastle's hard. And then they'll hope that Leeds have already been safe, which they should with Burnley at home. Yeah, you look at Tottenham's fixtures at the moment, and Tottenham look like the team that are really, really in trouble, because I don't see them beating Villa and Chelsea.
Also, I mean, you mentioned that you think sort of West Ham have got game changers, the likes of Callum Wilson, who can come on. Do their sort of team look like they've got belief about them now as well, and are up for this fight? Yeah,
and I think that win for Tottenham will galvanise them. I think that will lift them, but the injuries. But yeah, winning a game which they haven't won since the start of the year, which is ridiculous, might lift them. But this would have been a major blow for them, for Tottenham, because I thought this was a difficult game for West Ham, and it goes 1-1, and you think, 2 draws. But yeah, that was a massive result, you know, advantage them. But there'll be a game out of all them games after a Saturday or a Sunday or a Monday night where we go, wow, how did they win there? And that will be the game changer. Because you can look at here and you go, they won't beat Villa, they might beat Leeds, they won't beat Chelsea, might beat Everton. Who knows? They could go to Villa and win. Villa are playing in the Europa Conference, and, you know, if it doesn't go well against Forest, they'll have to rely on the second leg. So there's all timings as well. I think the one for me is Leeds will have to win this weekend. I know they're on 40 points, but the worst thing for Leeds is they play Spurs and West Ham.
Yep.
Where really, in hindsight, when you've got 40 points already, you want to be playing the big boys because you've got your points. You know, now, if they go and get beat by Tottenham, if they don't beat Burnley and win and got beat by Tottenham, and then they're back in it because they're 6 point
But you don't
games.
expect that to happen, though, right? Because they've been playing some good stuff.
No, they have been playing well, but how's it affect? You don't know how it's going to affect them this weekend, losing in the FA Cup semi-final. But I expect Leeds to be all right. They're good, and they got Burnley at home. But yeah, I think if I had the fixtures, I'd want West Ham's fixtures.
Really?
Yeah, all day long. I'd want West Ham's fixtures all day long. And I only saying that because Newcastle, we don't know what's happening with Eddie Howe. You know, I know there's a meeting up there this week. You don't know what's going to happen. You know, and Arsenal at home, there's severe pressure on Arsenal as well. Severe pressure. So, you know, it's not one of them teams like who are coming there middle of the table who are playing with freedom. You know, you want to be playing the teams that have got that pressure as well. So, yeah, I've always said Tottenham will stay up, though.
No, I know. So we need a definitive answer here. You think, right now, with 4 games to go,
I'd want
Spurs are
West
going
Ham's
down?
fixtures and they got a 2-point advantage. So, yeah, I would go Spurs.
Yeah,
and with the 2 players that are out injured, I don't know how much Solanke, how injured he is. But if they're both out as well, I think it's going to be a major worry. And that'll be, I would have to say, one of the biggest shocks in the history of Premier League. It'll be up there with Leicester, wouldn't it?
Up there with Leicester winning the league, yeah, possibly.
Yeah, 100%. In my opinion, it would. As club of Tottenham side, they've got the best stadium in the world. You know, and they've got good players. They've got some good players. But if they do go down, you can look at injuries. You know, Kulusevski, Maddison, especially them two, game changers, need game changers. And then all the other players that have been out, yeah.
Yeah.
So, no Xavi Simons for the final few games. Tim, how big a blow is that?
Well, he played very well, didn't he, against Brighton? Didn't do anything in the weekend for 60 minutes, and he comes off. Unfortunately, it looks like a bad one. And we're sad for Xavi Simons, obviously. But injuries have derailed Tottenham's season all season. And it can't be bad luck. They need to review, and they need a good look at what's happening to their players. Because, listen, we can all get injured from a contact, but a lot of these injuries are not contact. They're twists, they're soft tissue injuries, and ultimately it looks like they might have to pay the price for it, and the ultimate price, which is relegation. Because if you're a manager, you're going in, your players and some of your best players keep getting injured, and you can't get them back to fitness as well. I mean, like Kulusevski and Maddison, it's been a hell of a long time since they've been injured, and not getting them back on the field. So they're going to need a good look at that in the summer.
I want to pick up on something you said in a moment, but Michael, can you just kind of remind everybody of just how bad the injuries have been for Tottenham?
Well, we've only gone out. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous now. You know, you've got Dominic Solanke as well with a hamstring injury. Let's just read out the list of players currently out. Vicario, who's probably in training this week. Destiny Udogie, out. Ben Davies, out for the season. Romero, out for the season. Pape Sarr, out. James Maddison's been out for nearly a year now. Kulusevski's been out for a year. Xavi will be out until what Spurs have now confirmed he has ruptured his ACL. That is the worst possible news for him and the club. Mohamed Kudus, £55 million signing from West Ham, has been out since January. He was supposed to be coming back from a quad injury, and all of a sudden he does it again. The guy questioned that. Wilson Odobert, ACL. Dom Solanke, hamstring. I mean, some of these, you could have a scenario, if Tottenham do get relegated, they could still have James Maddison, Dejan Kulusevski and Xavi Simons, 3 very big names, 3 very high-profile players at the club in the Championship. But obviously Xavi might not be back now till... If that's a ruptured ACL, that's you can forget this year. That's done. So with his wage and everything as well, you've got to look at it, the financial side of it as well. I'm sorry to say, you know, but... This has to be looked at. This is ridiculous now.
So it's a good point that you've both made there now about what can they change, Tim? Because this season they've changed the managers a lot. Tottenham, in the past, you've mentioned how their recruitment needs to change in the summer. A review about that. And in terms of these injuries, what can they do about that? What needs to change when they do this review?
We need to look at what they're doing every single day. It's not only game day, but it's what they're doing in training every day. It doesn't help when you keep changing managers with a different mindset of how the players need to train. Every manager who comes into Tottenham or a new manager goes into any club always says the same thing. These players are not fit enough. So all of a sudden they change completely what they've been doing for the last however months. And maybe the intensity of the training gets higher, or it goes the other way. Maybe they step back on the intensity. So it's difficult. It's difficult to balance it out, but that's what the sports scientists are there for. That's what these experts are there for. As a manager, I always looked at the guys training and I could trust my eyes. Before anything else, I didn't need the data. I could tell if someone looked tired. I could tell if the boys had got a little bit more in them. And if they had, then we would carry on training. till I got what I wanted to achieve from that session. So I think football people need to start running football clubs and not let these scientists take over the asylum.
I mean, if, Michael, you were one of many people last week who say Spurs have to beat Wolves, otherwise Tottenham are going down. So, most obvious question I've ever asked, how big a win was that?
Yeah, I mean, they had to win it. But it doesn't help with West Ham and Forest in title-winning form. I mean, João Palhinha, I'm not just saying because he scored. I feel like he's been underused this year. Will he come in now? I mean, Roberto De Zerbi's a very good coach, and he will obviously be devastated with the news today, but he will be even thinking now about a system change. Spurs won the Europa League final without any creativity. So he's got what he's got last few games. But I have to be honest with you, Tom, taking my work hat off, I do feel slightly deflated with this news, and I'm kind of fed up with it now. Because it's the worst possible injury. And then when I saw it, I think, why is he walking? Why are they getting him to walk it off? I'm just asking questions out loud here. You know, it looked like a bad one when you see it. And it is. It's the worst possible one. And it's got to a point now, it's like, I mean, a lot of Tottenham fans, I don't know about teams, they're just like, they're just giving, they feel a bit deflated off the back of it, you know?
I mean, you should be more positive after a win. It's been, I mean, they haven't won in
Just everybody else went and won, that's the...
They haven't won in 2026, but I had my eye on the game. I was so disappointed with the performance. And I know it doesn't matter, and it really doesn't matter, but there's just something inside me just thinks, I didn't see enough there. I didn't see enough. Do I really believe that team? And I'm hoping that the shot in the arm, the confidence what the 3 points might give them, might change the outlook of a lot of players. And like I said before, you might start looking at the Tottenham players and going, oh, I don't recognise him. He looks very good. But at the moment, from what I saw in that game, you're playing against a team that's already relegated, and your XG is so low. At first half, I think it was 0.04 XG. Creativity is 0. And Xavi Simons was on the pitch then. We know he's capable of producing moments. We're going to need them moments. And I think Bridgie's right. He's going to have to find a different way to find them moments now. Because when you look at West Ham up the road, Fernandes drops his shoulder. Gerard Bowen, he's got pace. You know, Somerville goes past people. They've got a spark. When I look at Tottenham, I go, where's the spark coming from here? It's ponderous, it's sideways, it's backwards. The very good coach we're talking about, De Zerbi, and I know he's only been in there for 10 minutes, but he's going to have to find a way. So I am deflated. I wouldn't be so deflated if the referee done his job at London Stadium and give the penalty to Everton. I think if they would have scored that, I think Tottenham would have been more...
But you've just said that you saw a lot from West Ham, but again, they were a refereeing decision away from dropping points.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly as though Tottenham have got no hope.
Oh, no, cool.
So
No.
West Ham...
There's still hope, but the hope has to come from that confidence, what they're going to get from that result against Wolves. Because for the performance, and I know it's not about performances now, it doesn't matter how they play, just get results. But was there enough there for me to grab hold of and think, right, this manager's got them totally in the correct direction now? No, not at all. It was poor.
So Tottenham won, but obviously West Ham won as well. And Friday night, Michael, what was your reaction watching the Forest game away
I
at
laughed.
Sunderland? Well, I didn't laugh.
No, I know you didn't, but because everyone's winning. Are we in a title race here or relegation? But look, Tottenham can't be relying on others. To not have won since December, it's their own fault, it's their own doing. But going back to these injuries, they've not had so many key players for the whole season. We talk about certain other clubs with other individuals. Oh, they're out. They've been out for a bit of time. We're talking about a year for this guy, a year for this guy. Now probably a year for Xavi Simons.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
But Forest win. That didn't look like a team who were going to go down.
No.
So are they out of the relegation battle now? No. And if they are out of the relegation
they're still
battle,
in
you've
it.
got to say that that's
But I think we
well.
have to give Marinakis a lot of credit. We have to give him he makes big decisions. He's not afraid to make unpopular decisions. He did that with Nuno. He took in Sean Dyche. You think anyone who's struggling at the bottom of the league, you go, well, he's the man you need. We need to go and get Sean Dyche. Vitor Pereira's come in there and he's completely ripped it up and he's gone, you know what? We're not going to sit back. We're not going to be pragmatic. What we're going to do is get width, We're going to get midfield runners. Morgan Gibbs-White's been outstanding. He should have a white shirt on. But unfortunately, there's another one we couldn't get over the line. And they look solid at the back. So they're finding a way, unconventional way, to what we believe someone in a manager who stands on a relegation battle should be going to perform like. And I think that is the way Tottenham need to go. Have they got the creativity to be able to do that? On hindsight, you look at the Forest players and you go, oh, they got loads more. Hutchinson looks fantastic. Hudson-Odoi when he's fit. Certainly Morgan Gibbs-White. They got Chris Wood back now. You know, Elliot Anderson's all over the pitch and not playing sideways and backwards, driving with the ball in midfield. You know, on the negative side, you look at them and you go, oh, I wish they played in a white shirt, but they don't. So we just got to find a way ourselves.
You said that 42 points would be enough to keep you up, but goal difference, right? So you'll basically need 42 points to stay up. Michael, that's where we find Newcastle United. They've got 42 points. Tell us about their form at the moment.
Yeah, there's something that never used to look with it, Newcastle. Newcastle were tough to beat. Everyone's beating them now. So they probably can't wait for the season to end, and then they've got to reset, don't they? Whether that's with Eddie Howe or not, we'll wait and see. But I'm not going to be dragged into PSR or anything like that. They spent big money last summer. You know, they spent a lot of money. Voltemada, Johan Visser was a lot of money. Jacob Ramsey was a lot of money. So it's been a tough season for them, and they're probably lucky that the season's ending when it is, because I think they're all right. I think they're all right, personally.
Yeah,
I still think it's between Spurs and West Ham.
Yeah.
I really do. I look at Forest, I think they're fine. Leeds are fine. I mean, I think it's between Spurs and West Ham.
I think that result of the weekend for both Spurs and West Ham drags the other two into it.
But
a little bit of work to be
what
done.
about other three, though? Because they've got 42 points. If you're saying you need 42 points, could Newcastle lose that last forward and still be in it?
Listen, my heart tells me that Tottenham can possibly get to 42 points. And if they do that, then they need these other teams not to get another point, certainly Newcastle. And I think Newcastle will. So I believe they can get the job done. Leeds, possibly not. Possibly. I'm trying out. Leeds have done brilliant, don't get me wrong. But they have to come to Tottenham. They have to go to West Ham in the last game of the season. So there's an opportunity for the ones below them to gain on them. So they had a magnificent result. I mean, the standout one is obviously at Old Trafford. I think they've got very good players. They're now disappointed because they're not going to be in an FA Cup final. So you just never know. I'm just thinking of
home to Burnley Friday night.
That's the one. That's the one.
I can't. I think it's between Spurs and West Ham. I really do.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, if West Ham stay up, Spurs is their big derby, like Chelsea. I won't live it down.
See, at the moment, you would think on the back of, all right, they won yesterday in the FA Cup semi-final, but their performance against Brighton, notoriously, we always believe, no matter if it's a home or away, the Chelsea fixture's not a good one. But on the back of that performance, you think, you know what, these Chelsea players want to turn up when they want to turn up.
Yeah.
The change of manager has probably not done us any favours as a Tottenham man. But because after that Brighton result, I thought, you know what, we can beat them. But it's Tottenham. And there's an opportunity for them Chelsea fans to celebrate putting Tottenham into the Championship. That might be bigger than a cup final for that group of fans.
Sent some shivers down a few Tottenham fans. We're going to be to a